Pry open your third eye with me, your big-headed know-it-all, polymath Scott Spackey, and guests. Change your mind, change your life. Full episodes, services, knowledge, and all you'll ever need on scottspackey.com and life-mind.com. Are you ready?
Find me where the ocean collides with the sun.
And a 1, 2, 3, and hi, and welcome to and welcome back to Pry Open Your Third Eye. With me, your host and polymath, Scott Spackey. Polymath, accredited counselor, and award-winning author, and big-headed know-it-all. Today we're going to be talking about Indigo Children. Indigo Children are people that are advanced intellectually with spiritual awareness, spiritual abilities, and they're rather phenomenal. We're going to be listening to and reading from the Indigo Children chapter from within the portal to discuss this. We're going to be reading from that book and also discussing the contents of it to learn about them. Within the portal is a near-death experience memoir and guide to spiritual development. And so it serves as both. It is a memoir about a death experience that is phenomenal, unprecedented. 9 days going straight while in a coma, and then for years afterwards, interaction with the other side. Along with this, it is a guide to spiritual development. It teaches you how to meditate, how to pray. It teaches you about religion, teaches you about spiritual paths, spiritual philosophies. It teaches you about reincarnation, past lives, life and death, what happens before, during, and after. It provides you with tools and exercise to be able to meditate, pray, ceremony, spiritual practices. We're going to begin the conversation by talking a little about the book and a little bit about the cover of the book, as you can see here, and be able to dissect and kind of analyze what it's about. Then we're going to read from and hear from the passage in the book, and then we're going to discuss it. We're going to be enjoying some excerpts from this book and be talking about it with my number one student and co-host, co-producer, Chloe Sempre, who has evolved into and become a good friend, co-host, co-producer, what I like to refer to as my partner in crime, my partner in mind crimes for this project. And Chloe, if you would tell something about yourself in just a sentence or two about who you are, not so much what you are. Let me qualify the difference. What we are, I already know what you are, of course, is a wife and mother that lives in Colorado. But that doesn't define you. And so again, just maybe a sentence or two, maybe about who you are. What's important to you and like who you are?
I'm an artist. I'm a painter, a drawer. I'm creative in a lot of different ways, and I think I bring that creativity into, I think, most everything that I do. So even if I'm not actively creating artwork, I like to look at the world a little bit more creatively. And I am a mother, so I spend a lot of time with my family stuff, but we also do landscaping, so I'm outside a lot, and that helps me to be active, to be grounded, and to be connected to the outside world, which I think is valuable, to get fresh air, to hear the birds chirping, and I think that maybe that's a bit of what I am. I'm very simple in the way I approach the world and life.
I can resonate with the art as you're talking about it, because I'm not just an artist or writer when I'm writing. I see everything through the lenses as a writer. And I don't even like writer. I think I'm an author because I've earned the fucking title. I mean, I've busted my chops. And I paid my dues, and I like to consider myself an author, not just a writer. Anybody can write. Grocery lists, laundry lists, whatever, anybody can write. I'm an author. And so I agree with you that it permeates into everything that you do. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, there's a part of the writer in me that is always processing, analyzing, appreciating, and I'm seeing everything in this very selfish way as to how it fits into my art. How can I... And so everything kind of fits into that, kind of serves that agenda. It's like, as a counselor, they say that with psychiatrists, that everyone's on the couch, so to speak, right? That everyone is kind of being analyzed. And indeed, I absolutely automatically kind of assess people in psychological terms as well. Anyway, I also want to point out that it often may seem in these videos that I see, because the camera will kind of go back and forth and on its own to give some focus that somebody said that we're here together. And it often will seem like Chloe's not paying attention. She's looking away from the camera while I'm talking about something that could be very important. And it looks like she's not paying attention. She is. Chloe is an incessant note taker. She is prolific in taking notes, and I love that. And that's why she became my #1 student. Because I was always like watching, like, are you paying attention to me? She's like, yeah, I'm taking notes. So she takes these volumes of notes.
Most people, maybe many people, don't resonate with writing. I had this conversation yesterday with a group of people of, when do you have time to write something? And I said, well, people who are writers, that's what they do. That's what they want. They want to
If I go
put
too
their
long without
creative energy
writing,
into.
yeah, if I go too long without writing, I spontaneously combust. I find myself, so when I don't write, it's the same kind of thing. I find myself losing my patience, feeling kind of down, somewhat angry, unfocused, and then I write, and it's like the world lifts off, and I just feel like totally free and clear again. The creative process.
I feel that. Yeah.
I know you do. And I know that all creativity does this. If we don't create over time, it ends up creating like an internal combustion, consumes things.
Speaking of writing,
Yeah,
you wrote this.
I did. Well,
This is your book.
what do
Great
you mean?
cover art.
That's by some guy named Krishnanand.
That's true. Tell me more about that. Who's Krishnanand?
That is me. That is my spiritual name, bestowed upon me by an enlightened master in 2010. And so that's the name that I go by for myself. And that's how you were introduced to me as well. So Chloe actually knows me as Krishnanand before she knows me as Scott. Matter of fact, I don't know what it was like for you, but when we began this project and I decided to use Scott, my worldly name, that felt awkward. Every time you would call me Scott or refer to me that way, it was kind of like, what are you doing? Like, why are you calling me that? Like, that's what. Did it feel weird for you to call me that?
It still feels weird because
you know me as Krishnanand.
Well, I know you as both. Well, basically that. Like, I just prefer to just talk to you. And you mentioned that people don't refer to each other by name.
That's right.
When
And
my
I'll
husband
tell you,
uses my name, I feel like I'm in trouble.
right? And that's a pet peeve of mine. See, as a counselor, I've learned how to artfully, deliberately weave in and use someone's name at the right times because it gets their attention. It makes them focus. And how you say it. It personalizes it because we rarely address each other by name. You, this, that, whatever, we rarely address each other by name. And I think that depersonalizes our interaction with people to a point that does that. It dilutes it. And I think that when I want to connect with somebody, deliberately find ways to use people's names while I'm counseling with them to prove a point, to emphasize something, to draw them in at an intimate level so that they're present for that, because it does. Your name is a vibration that you go by, that you identify with. And so, and again, as a numerologist that works with names and all that, they're very essential. And so Krishnanand is my spiritual name. This is a spiritual book. It's a spiritual context. The entire event and circumstance are spiritual. And so I use my spiritual name rather than having any association with my worldly name. And so I kept them very separate. There's a point in the story in this book that I explain that I chose to use Krishnanand full time was very relevant and very climactic turning point in the story. Many of my clients don't know me as Scott. That's my Western professional name. And so for this project, Appropriating Your Third Eye, the podcast, and many of my editorials and blogs and the website now, I'm using Scott again. Because it's just simpler and easier because, first of all, Krishnanand is hard to say for Westerners. And secondly, it's a little too exotic for many of them. Names are important, but at the same time, they're totally unimportant. You know? What's important is, again, as I asked you, who you are, not what you are. What you are is a wife and mother in Colorado, and that's very important, a big part of your identity. But at the same time, who you are is something deeper, more personal.
Yeah. So let us transition to today. We're going to read a selection, just one chapter in two parts. We're going to break it up into two parts. And it's called Indigo Children and Soulmates. But before we dive right into that, I guess I want to just ask you briefly about this cover.
The title is Within the Portal, a near-death experience memoir and guide to spiritual development. Oh, yours says awakening. Yours says the original subtitle. Now it says
I
development.
do have the original.
And that's, that's just me. Awakening is such an overused term now. I wanted something that's more individualistic and a little bit more unique and private for me, and so I use development. So, and that's honestly what indeed this book is engineered to trigger and activate spiritual awakenings. It will absolutely do that for those who have not had a spiritual awakening yet, like Ram Dass's Be Here Now can for many people, and did, and Autobiography of a Yogi. But it also, and is very deliberately constructed to be a tool for spiritual development. It teaches you how it works, why it works, and what to do with it. So the instructions are in there. And again, it's done in a narrative way, so it's not like an academic book that's where you're reading like a textbook. It is done in a story and a narrative.
I don't think that we are just one moment, one spiritual awakening. We're not one event. And development, I think, does apply better because our lives are ongoing. We're ever changing. The only thing constant is change. So we are always developing. We're always evolving. And sometimes we're taking steps back and sometimes we're moving forward. Or maybe that's just our perception of ourselves. But there is no one, there are many defining moments in our lives.
Yeah, it would be, I don't think we should ever say spiritual awakening. We have spiritual awakenings. And so, indeed, as you have seen in this book, as you experience it, what I've created is an experience that I guarantee, literally give your money back. You will not be the same person when you finish this book. When you go from the beginning of it through the entire thing,
I wasn't.
You will not be the same. You will see things differently. You will know things differently. You will absolutely be have a wider perspective of things, of yourself. And so, in that sense, you're not just awakening, you're developing. Yeah, I agree with you. That awakening is a series of events and circumstances that happen throughout your life. I've had many awakenings. And so, so you're holding the old subtitle, the old copy, the new copy that you would buy from me, hopefully, rather than Amazon. Get rid of the middleman, come directly to me. I'll give you an autographed copy and send them to you. I do it all the time. People prefer that. It costs about the same, by the way. And yeah, development, where it is an experience to behold. What I try to create in all my books, even Road Games, which is just non-fiction short stories, even Road Games, I want you to have an experience. I want you to have a journey that is deep, profound, mysterious, and funny as fuck too. I want you to laugh. I want you to maybe cry a little bit, which within the portal you will definitely have a bit of both, but a lot of beautiful awakening things.
Real quick, before we do get into the book, let's talk about this cover art a little bit, because that's pretty wild looking. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes. The cover you're looking at, that is a yantra in the middle of the character's forehead. It's been questioned, is that Shiva, is that Krishna, is that you, is that me? And I say yes. It's all those things. It is you, it is me, it is anyone, and it is also Krishna, it is also Shiva. It just evolved this way. Basically what happened was this. My sister is much like you. She's a very talented artist, and she's very graphic, and she is a hybrid, as you do a lot of the work also for Third Eye, is she creates things on paper, and then it inputs that into her computer, and then she digitizes it and then makes layers of it. And so I gave her the direction, the art direction. I want to convey this concept. I want these colors and I want these images in there. And then she took all that rough and raw information and then started creating this. And then we would collaborate. I'd come back and say, I love this, and can you tweak that? And so we went back and forth on these kind of things and had collaboration. Sometimes very stressful, sometimes some arguments. But generally, when it was done, I was like, this is fucking perfect. This is a yantra. Go ahead and hold it up again. A yantra is a meditation tool that you use as a focal point. And yantras are designed, they're primordial. They're eternal. They're designed to be able to use as a focal point for meditation to alter, rearrange, and activate your consciousness on layers that are not normal, that are not regular. I don't want you to cramp up. You can put it down now. I mean, I can stare at that thing forever. And so, in the beginning of the book is a description. Oh, shit, it's right there on the cover page. Within the portal cover art yantra, outside in. Concept by Krishnanand, created by Christine Michelle Spacky. That's my sister. So it's outside, so it's the outer circles working its way in, which is what a yantra does. A yantra draws you in to contract and then expand outwardly. That's how yantras work. So this follows the yantra formula that's eternal and primordial. So there's strict rules on that, and so these follow this. The white light radiance, followed by 12 lotus petals for the Anahata heart chakra, followed by an ochre ring of protection, which is the guru, an orange ring, the ochre ring, because gurus and sannyasis in India wear orange. Violet radiance for higher conscience and Sahasrara chakra. An ochre star of a banishing perimeter. So that's for banishing the bad stuff and preserving the good stuff. A violet hendecagram as saw in a vision. The hendecagram is that central part right there that's an 11-pointed star that I saw in visions that I never thought was going to be able to work in here, and I've got a little tattoo of it right here. Followed by an Ouroboros, image serpent swallowing its own tail. That's a Hermetic symbol. Infinite and eternally with a light radiance from within, and centers is the bindi, the focal point. Oh, yantras, you have a bindi, a focal point, this little center dot. So that's what it is. And again, right inside the cover of this book, you get a description for this. So along with the knowledge and wisdom and correct understanding of how spirituality works in all faiths, in any faiths, is also this yantra to use as a tool. I have people, and you can buy one, I have posters that you can hang on the wall and use as a yantra. Same way you use any yantra that you post on the wall and put up there and use that as a meditation device. So this yantra functions like that. There's a certain formula for what a yantra is, how they work, and what they are mathematically, geometrically, etc. So sacred geometry is what they are. So that's what that is, and I think it's absolutely masterful. It was clearly inspired by something well beyond myself. Something was channeled in to cause this thing to happen. Pretty wonderful. Mm-hmm. Now, the title of the book, Within the Portal, my near-death experience, where I was on the other side, I could not refer to it in any words because it was beyond words. It was ineffable and unexpressible. And I did not want to use the bardo, which is the Tibetan Buddhist term for the other side, or purgatory, because as well as that's an accurate description in the Western traditions of religion, that has a negative stigma to it. We hear purgatory and we think it's like some kind of hell, and it's not. It's a space of learning. But I just kept referring to it as a portal because it was like the gateway between this side and that side. It's not the divine realm, but it's not the material realm. It's kind of a portal between. And so I just kept referring to it that way because I didn't know what else to use. And so eventually somebody said to me, an early editor said to me, why don't you call it Within the Portal? And I'm like, oh my God, that's pretty good. So I went with that. And again, the subtitle. It is a near-death experience memoir, truth in advertising. I want people to know that when they're going to buy this book, what it's about. And secondly, a guide to spiritual development. Not a textbook. I'm very, again, conscious and careful in my wording. A guide to spiritual development. It is there to guide you. So you begin the journey, and it's there to guide you and help you along. The same way a Sherpa takes somebody up the Himalayas. It takes them up Mount Everest. Who does all the work? Let me tell you, Hillary and those mountain climbers don't do shit compared to the goddamn Sherpas that haul all that shit up there and do it every day. They're up there all the time. Everybody's like, oh, I climb Mount Everest. Like, yeah, this guy does it every day. He's not getting any accolades. He's hauling all your shit too. You're like carrying your backpack. I'm not saying it's easy. I wouldn't be able to do it myself. I'm simply saying that let's give credit where credit should be due. to the Sherpas. Guides are important. And so what this book evolved into was just that, a guide for spiritual development. Now let me give you a brief comment on that. I can't miss out on that. It didn't start off that way. I wrote this book to simply establish an account of my near-death experience and my miraculous recovery. I am a medical miracle. Literally no one in history has ever recovered from the 3 traumas that I had. Even the DAI part, my diffuse axonal brain injury, I'm the only person who have ever recovered from that and become self-reliant. 80% of people with a DAI injury never survive. They're dead or institutionalized within 4 years. Institutionalized meaning they can't take care of themselves, and most of them go insane. If the ones who don't go insane, the ones who do live, are not self-reliant. They can't take care of themselves. They need assisted living. As far as my research and brain neurology at UCLA have established that I'm the only person to ever have come through a DI and a stage 3 Glasgow coma and be able to... I didn't want to write the story because it was too painful, all the things that happened to me. My publisher was after me saying, like, why aren't you writing that? I'm like, I don't want to write it. It's inspiring, it's beautiful, but it's also painful for me because I went through it. Great that you can be entertained and be inspired by this. I'm the one that died for it. Okay, and it was harsh, and I met a lot of loss, a lot of grief, a lot of sorrow. And I realized as I tried to simply tell this medical account to inspire people to be able to overcome injury and trauma, to be able to give people a resource to be able to overcome DAI brain injury and stage 3 comas. As I'm trying to explain it and how I know it, I'm realizing that I can't explain how this is working without explaining how it works, the spiritual phenomena. As I'm describing my near-death experience of traveling to the other side and what I'm witnessing, what I'm experiencing there, I have a lifetime of knowledge and history as a spiritual academic and theologue of how these things work. And so I felt that I had to apply it. So that's where a lot of this is coming from. That's how the book developed into not just a near-death experience memoir, but a guide to spiritual development.
It does. So today the chapter we're going to read is Indigo Children and Soulmates, and we're going to do that in 2 parts. What's the context of this chapter and the greater story?
So the first few chapters are simply about my accident, the tragedy, going to the hospital, all these kind of things that are taking place on a more physical, medical, worldly sense, with some references, an allusion to the spiritual phenomena that's taking place. In chapter 7, the deep end of the pool, page 63. The deep end of the pool is a glossary and reference. This is where the entire narrative shifts. Now, usually glossary and reference is early on in a book, at the beginning of a book. I didn't want that because I didn't want to disrupt the narrative. I wanted to immerse you immediately into the story itself. The reason I put the glossary and references in chapter 7 is because from that point forward, the story shifts and it gets a lot more spiritual and mystical. And so therefore you're going to need these tools to go on. And again, I do this in kind of a fun way. Because right after that is dialogue with the other side, the portal, and we're introducing the entire experience of being on the other side. When we get to Indigo Children and Soulmates, trying to give people insight to understand what's going to be taking place in the near future, what's coming up. And as I sat down to write about soulmates, give some insights and context on how this actually works in the spiritual phenomena and in the world, I had some fun. And I just went on this little rant about Indigo Children, which I think is a fascinating concept. So you want to just jump right in and look at these little bookmarks I have. This is a leaf from my editor in Ohio, Barb. You know Barb. Barb sent me these leaves from Ohio because I was born in Ohio and I love fall in Ohio. So she sends me, I have a whole collection of leaves here that she sends me from trees that have fallen off in Ohio. Indigo Children and Soulmates. I'm going to read the Indigo Children part first. Then we're going to take a little pause and we're going to discuss it for a minute. Every chapter in this book begins with usually 2 quotes. One is something that's quotes from scriptures or sages or theological texts. And the other one is usually something that's more casual and fun from a song. But they're both directly relevant to what's coming in the chapter.
Let's begin.
Chapter 22, Indigo Children and Soulmates. Being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage. Lao Tzu, the Tao Te Ching. Coming out the other side, step into the shadow. 46 and 2 are just ahead of me. Tool, 46 and 2. Indigo Children. The term indigo child came about in the 70s. It refers to children who of course become adults who have natural, innate spiritual tendencies, abilities, and understandings. The theory is there are several human beings who have evolved DNA and are naturally advanced. I prefer the term 46 and 2 as it refers to the idea that regular folk have just 44 and 2, 44 autosomes and 2 chromosomes. The gifted, advanced, the next wave of evolution humans, i.e. indigo children, have 46 and 2. I'm not fond of trend labels. I'm not a fucking unicorn, transoid, polyamorous, hipster whatchamacallit. One of the ways you can identify an indigo child / adult, if such a person exists, is they won't be cool with your labels. They're very resistant to trends and social norms, finding them beneath them. If this is true and indigos are real, then I'm a card-carrying indigo. Label me and I'll leave the room, muttering expletives under my breath. I'm not starting a hashtag movement as an intuitive mystic, NDE, Kundalini survivor, hardcore addiction recovery, or any of the miracle achievements I've been forced to endure in this life. I'm not proud of it, I'm not special, I'm not chosen, and I don't know where John Galt is either. But I think I saw him on a midnight flyer train. I have never felt like I'm a natural citizen of this planet. I was having deep doubts and existential musings when I was 3. I've seen and been aware of multiple layers of reality my entire life and wondered how the hell I got here and where my space pod was so I could go home. I learned to adapt and blend in. Other than a wide plethora of perspectives and accumulated knowledge, I seem like anyone else. Parent, homeowner, entrepreneurial, sole proprietor, partner, friend, brother, son. The differences are in the asterisks. On paper, I'm just a single parent who coached pony baseball, but the asterisk notes reveal the details of not even knowing he wasn't my DNA child until he was 3, and how I battled to protect him and preserve my role in his life, setting superior court precedents that permanently modified family law. How Brandon became a firefighter is as indigo as anything else I'm involved with. Yeah, on paper, I'm just a guy who started a couple businesses and had some success, but the manner and degree of the businesses have deep shades of indigo. I did a 180 career shift and was the first and only one to provide private practice addiction counseling without holding a degree. I'm not much of a conventional friend or family member either, which is also true of the indigo. I've always been cool with them and close, but I've never felt like family members and I are truly connected. We're all good, but this is because I keep my deep perspectives mostly to myself because we just don't have it in common. My family is good, smart, normal folk. I'm the black sheep, living this existential supernatural life. And my love life? I already went through how the latest affair came to be. While not all my romantic liaisons are of such magical caliber, the themes are unmistakable. How many guys do you know who lose their virginity to the first girl they meet, fall in love with, and make love their first time on a canopy bed with the light of a full moon streaming in through French doors that open onto a balcony on a breezy summer night with chiffon curtains rustling the whole time? This first time event was so beautiful it activated the hopeless romantic in me for life. Who does this? Indigo child? I don't know. What I am is a human soul trapped in the material phenomena who knows he doesn't want to be. What I am is a soul in a man's body who sees more and knows more than most, and it is lonely. What I am is an expert in religion, theology, mysticism, and spirituality, and I'm pretty well read on physics, biology, DNA, cosmology, and many other branches of science. I'm an intellectual snob, insisting on films over blockbuster movies, and each and every field of wisdom comes naturally to me. Math I suck at, but Pythagorean numerology I do like Good Will Hunting. When I was failing 2nd grade and was about to be held back, tests showed I was too advanced for 2nd grade curriculum and was failing because I was bored. Bored, not slow. I guess I'm an anorak who loves tantric sex, yoga, and did a whole lot of psychedelic exploration. If I'm able to be labeled, I'm an enigma, a paradox. It's rough and lonely. By the way, that word I used, anorak, means strong interest, perhaps obsessive, in niche subjects that may be unacknowledged or not understood by the general public. See what I mean? Who calls themselves an anorak? What I've been is a dope fiend, philanderer, criminal, thief, liar, cheater, loudmouth, mean son of a bitch, and that's just in this lifetime.
I've also been a despot, a murderer, an incestuous father, and coward in past lifetimes. And I'm tired of paying for the sins of the father sevenfold. Whatever I did in other lives as someone else is not who I am today. I have changed. What I am now is a man trying to take his karmas with style and grace. I am trying to take my punishments like a man and expose the truth to others so they can learn from my mistakes. You can learn from mine. It's way easier than learning from your own. Remember, there's only one thing worse than suffering, suffering for no reason. If others learn from our errors, we've not suffered for no reason.
That wraps up that section.
All right. So, first of all, who's John Galt? I don't get the reference.
Within the Portal, a near-death experience memoir and guide to spiritual development, is available internationally, everywhere books are sold, in print, ebook, and in audio as well, read by the author. Ryan Brown from Whole Life Books says, Within the Portal is this generation's Be Here Now. Harrowing and inspiring, an epic collection of undeniable miracles, says Sarah Rain from Spiritual Network. Krishnanand's lifelong commitment to spirituality makes him a source of genuine spiritual knowledge and how to apply it. Thomas Tobias, Om International. The most unique and revealing near-death experience I've ever interviewed. Jeff Marr from Jeff Marr Podcast. This book just keeps changing my life. Barb Cortez Gardenia, audiobook buyer. Within the Portal is the fifth book by six-time award-winning author Krishnanand, also known as Scott Spackey. Within the Portal reveals the eternal truths taught by the genuine sages, saints, and gurus and masters so you can spiritually develop towards divine love consciousness. Krishnanand is a spiritual trainer to many, and Within the Portal serves as the guidebook. Krishnanand remained in constant dialogue with spiritual beings the entire time during his 9-day coma and continues to connect with them at will to this day. The book breaks down the entire near-death phenomena in an exciting and profound narrative telling. Go to withintheportal.com to sample or order your personalized ebook, print, or audio copy. Use the code Third Eye for free downloads.
Who's John Galt?
And see, there you go. That's one of those classic moments where, as a writer, as the author, I get to have a little fun and be a little bit over the top and have a private side joke to people who do get it. To people that do get it, be like, they'll laugh their ass off, okay? And to people that don't, it won't matter. You won't not go know what's going on in the story because you don't get that little joke. Ayn Rand, are you familiar with Ayn Rand?
Brief. Just a little.
Ayn Rand was an author in the 30s, and she wrote several books that became a philosophy. Her books are fiction, okay? She's very famous, she's very legendary, and you can look her up, and she's all over the place. There's interviews with her, all kinds of great stuff with Ayn Rand. And so I read Ayn Rand when I was in my late teens, early teens actually, and it changed the way I thought, changed everything. I mean, I was an Ayn Randian, for sure. Her philosophy became known as objectivism. She gets a lot of flack for being very straightforward. One of her main books is called Atlas Shrugged. What happens in that story is that the people that are truly creative and truly intellectual and truly gifted and truly the doers, the people that do shit and get stuff done, the people that take action, they get fed up with the world. And they're like, you know what? Fuck all y'all. We're going to go create a little commune and go live by ourselves. And fuck you, we're going to withdraw from the society. We're going to remove all of what we do and give, creating industry and creativity and all the things, creating business and all the monetary and economical things. We're going to go live by ourselves. You can't appreciate it anyway, so fuck you, we're going to leave. So Atlas Shrugged is a lot about the intellectuals and the capable people of society removing themselves. John Galt is one of them. And so the inside joke throughout the story is, where's John Galt? We don't know. He exists, he's there somewhere, and he's doing something, we don't know where he is. So where's John Galt? So it's an Ayn Randian reference. And it's a good one.
Right.
And it was well placed. I'm pretty proud of that.
Well, Indigo Children tends to be a buzzword in a lot of ways, I think. But also something that I think people who don't really, and maybe a lot of people feel like they don't fit in their own ways, but those that really don't fit into the box can kind of identify with in some regards.
They do, but I'll tell you the difference with Indigo Children, because we live currently in a social media culture that everyone banks off and wants to be known as so different. And I'm like, you guys are all trying sort of to be so different that you're all the fucking same. I mean, I see the fashion and the trends, and so everybody's working so hard at being unique and so unusual that the fact that you're unusual is not unusual. You're not really doing anything new and different. And so the difference is that Indigo Children are not quite the opposite. They're not driven to make any type of an impression. They are struggling because they perceive things differently. They know more. Now, technically, the term Indigo Child, we're talking about the concept that these people, Indigo Children, again, 46 and 2, they're a little bit more evolved. Some theories are that Indigo Children are not from this world. They are alien, they're from another dimension, that they manifest, appear, or visit, or take birth here, or live here, but they're not of this world. And so, kind of like avatars, spiritual personalities, that they're gifted people. And again, there's a lot of people that figure that Indigo Children are basically kind of like aliens. The true Indigo Child is not playing that up. They're not trying to exploit it. They're not trying to bank off that up. If anything, they want to be kind of hidden away. And so, and again, as I mentioned earlier about my first memoir, my first book, I want it anonymous. I'm not looking for credit. I want what I'm writing about and what I'm giving to you to be acknowledged and be very powerful for you. I don't give a fuck if it's about me at all. I don't care if my name's on it. I don't care about that. It's not about that. It's about what it is. So again, when I studied about Indigo Children and I worked with some, I'm like, oh my God, I check all the boxes. I fit in all these categories. I fit all this stuff. So this explains a lot.
I don't even want to necessarily identify as an indigo child, even if I were to be one, because maybe that's part of the description of it, but it sounds like, I don't know, like everybody wants to be different. Everybody wants to be special, and we are all different and special in our own ways, but like everybody wants to be uniquely set apart from maybe the whole. Or maybe they don't. Maybe that's just my perception.
Generally people do, and it's pathological. It's reached pathological proportions now because of the social media and the online kind of world. It's become pathological. It's like the only way you can find your own personal value is if you become so unique. And again, what I'm seeing is that you're not unique. What you're doing is you're simply working so hard at being so unique and different that you're really just not. You're not. And so my way you could say of being unique and different is I like to look the same. I like to blend in. And that is, again, classic indigo. Indigos, and again, I'm not saying I am or not one. I'm simply saying I check all the boxes. And that what is kind of hallmark for the indigo is that I don't want to be noticed. If I'm going to be noticed, again, I don't want to be noticed for me. I want to be noticed for my ideas. I want the ideas noticed. I want the knowledge noticed. I'm a pretty unique individual, as you know. I'm a pretty unusual man. But I like to blend in. I'm on paper, I'm the guy that coached pony ball and had a business and was a single father. But the asterisks make all the difference. And again, I'm not trying to, I have 2 tattoos, this one and this one. They're very small, they're very subtle. I'm not wearing it out. I'm not wearing it like a badge of honor. I'm simply, these are meaningful to me, and I'm trying to be more subdued. I'm not trying to gain attention by any of those things. I want to be known for what I'm saying, what I'm thinking, not the way I look, not the way I'm presenting.
There's obviously a lot of overlap in things, but some of these descriptions, I'm being reminded of our recent series of E&P, and we talked about us being emotional personalities.
Big time.
And those emotional personalities don't really want to be noticed for themselves as much as the ideas or what's the creations or the products that we make. That's right. And how they can affect others.
What we create manifest, yes.
So there's a lot of overlap there. And it may or may not be that it's one or the other, but it could be both, I suppose.
And we don't want to get into the EMP stuff because we can go on and on about that for sure. And as we began to start to talk about this subject, I'm seeing everything through the lens of EMP. And so indeed, you would think that indigo children are more likely to be emotionals rather than physicals. And that is generally the case, but there are indeed, of course, physicals that are indigo children as well. But that's a good notice that you picked up on that. For those who were able to listen to and watch the E&P series that we did, this ties right in together. Indigo children, the topic of that does really well with it. The concept of indigo children, I'm introducing it at this point of the book because I want people to know that I'm not just some guy that's just talking out his ass about things. I learned how to be right about everything a long time ago. Just don't talk about shit that I don't know. So I'm right all the time. You know why? Because I don't talk about the shit that I'm wrong about. How do I know? Well, if I don't know, then I don't talk about it. If I'm telling you something the way it is, it's because I know it, because I've studied it, I've researched, I've experienced it, I know it. I'm not just giving you my opinion, my thoughtless opinion, as many people do. And that is part of the degradation and deterioration of knowledge and wisdom in this world now, is that people, because of social media, because of online digital world, everyone, they say opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one, and most of them smell bad. Everyone and anyone can opine, post their YouTube video, their Twitter post, their Facebook post, whatever else, but it doesn't mean that they know what they're talking about. And there's responsibility. And I'll tell you, again, indigo children, typically, they don't want to be noticed. They would rather conceal their knowledge and wisdom than be dragged out in the front of the masses. They just are what they are. There's this really great video by System of a Down. I'm a big System of a Down fan. I saw them several times, big, huge fan, probably because of this song. And in this song, the video shows this like alien baby, this alien child that ends up becoming this like influencer. I mean, this was done like way back. I mean, System of a Down did this song in like, I don't know, 1997 or 98. And so this alien child becomes like a trend, a pop thing. And it's tragic. I mean, rather than just appreciating the phenomena, they turn this person, this alien baby, this alien child who has wisdom and power, into this pop star. The degradation of it. And so, yeah, indigo children typically don't want to be publicly recognized. I think that people that are interested in spiritual development and spiritual concepts, I think indigo child is a very important topic that needs to be discussed. My opinions are formed with a lifelong amount of study, research, experience, experimentation. I'm not just telling you what I think, what I learn. I'm telling you what I know. And I want people to rely on that. Same with my addiction course, same thing with E&P. I want you to know, if you're trusting me and inviting me into your space and into your head, then I want you to know that I'm a reliable source. I'm not going to mislead you. I'm not just telling you some bullshit. I'm going to give you so that you can look up and you can confirm it.
So, I mean, you reference this in the book of indigo children don't much care for labels. So, what is the benefit or the value of having this term or label of indigo children?
It's, you can't avoid labels. It's not them, okay? It's, again, this gentleman that came up with the term. We do need names, words, and labels to be able to identify, categorize, and discuss something. If we don't have names of things, we can't talk about them at all. So obviously, phenomena is ineffable. And I do about as good or better than anybody possibly could do speaking about the ineffable. How do I speak about the ineffable? If it's ineffable, you can't speak about it. But I do convey things into words that are not conveyable into words. And this is, again, because we need to agree that we're going to call this a phone. You can call it Blorg. I don't care what you call it. But we need to agree so we can have conversation about it. Otherwise, we can't communicate. And communication is critical. Again, through the E&P series, communication is critical. So the labels are not relevant to the indigos themselves. They don't want any labels. I don't want to be known as this or that, polyamorous, unicorn person, whatever. As soon as I hear that, I'm like, get the hell away from me. I don't want nothing to do with my pronouns.
But it is relevant to those that it's relevant to.
in my view, they should be focused on things that truly do matter, not these little details. And again, names matter, but at the same time, they don't matter at all. You can call me Scott, you can call me Krishnanand. They're very important. Those are my vibrations. Those are the vibrations which I live under, that identify me. And I have a Hebrew name as well. But at the same time, I'm not that name. That's just a label. Again, you're a wife and mother in Colorado. That's just 3 little factoids about you. You are so much more than that. You are deeper. There's things about you that are very personal, that are very profound. Those are 3 just labels. So, Indigo Children, the ones that I've worked with and met and read about, the concept is basically that Indigo Children, they're not really here against their will, but neither are they here with their will. They're just here. And so the value of them, if they're not trying to change the world in some extroverted way, by creating a mission or a purpose or anything like that, a cult, which, again, I'm not trying to change the world. I'm simply writing about what I write about because it's what I know. And I enjoy it. Hopefully it does inspire people and change them, and it does. I have a history of that, and that's great. I'm pleased with that, but that's not why I do it. If it affects nobody, I still do it because that's what I do. Again, I'm brown. I got brown hair, I got brown eyes, I'm a spiritualist, I'm a polymath, that's what I am, it's what I know. And so the value of Indigo Children, 46 and 2 personalities on the planet, even though they may not want to be recognized and may be hiding under a bushel and in the shadows, is because they balance out the toxicity. There are sages, saints, gurus, masters that the world will never know. Supposedly, Vedavyas, the Hindu master of knowledge that revealed all of the scriptures, the Upanishads, the Vedas, his name is Vedavyas, Vedavyas, the Upanishads, the Shastras, all this is produced by and revealed by Vedavyas. The legend is that Vedavyas is always on the planet. He is in a cave somewhere in the Himalayas, living isolated. He does not need food, does not need water. He derives his energy and his well-being and nourishment from the subtle energy that's within the cosmos. He can infuse that. He does not go out and dig ditches. He doesn't need food for that. He's in a cave, and his purpose, since he's not revealing himself to the world, is he adds a counter-diluted measure. The world's a toxic place. And many avatars and saintly and spiritual personalities are among us, but they're not identifying themselves. They're not coming out. Because while they are very private, they may be your coworker, you never know, they're adding a counterbalance to the toxicity of the world just by being here. So whether they're doing anything or not that we can observe or participate in or learn from extrovertedly, their presence alone is diluting the toxicity of the universe, of the world that we're in.
Let us transition to soulmates, as we have about 45 minutes left. And this time, can we do an outro and an intro, since we might be doing separate episodes? Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
To break up the pace of this, what we'll do is we'll do the soulmate in a separate episode, one for Indigo Children, one for soulmates. So we'll wrap up the Indigo Children topic here and now, and we'll close that off, and then we'll begin the soulmates one. That'll be part 2.
Thanks for joining. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. See you next time. I'm pry open your third eye. Pry open your third eye and keep it open. Until next time, leave your third eye open. Full episodes, services, knowledge, and all you'll ever need on scottspacky.com and life-mind.com.
Ocean collides with the sun.
Within the Portal, a near-death experience memoir and guide to spiritual development, is available internationally. Everywhere books are sold, in print, ebook, and in audio as well, read by the author. Ryan Brown from Whole Life Books says, Within the Portal is this generation's Be Here Now. Harrowing and inspiring, an epic collection of undeniable miracles, says Sarah Rain from Spiritual Network. Krishnanand's lifelong commitment to spirituality makes him a source of genuine spiritual knowledge and how to apply it. Thomas Tobias, Om International. The most unique and revealing near-death experience I've ever interviewed. Jeff Marr from Jeff Marr Podcast. This book just keeps changing my life. Barb Cortez Gardenia, audiobook buyer. Within the Portal is the 5th book by 6-time award-winning author Krishnanand, also known as Scott Spackey. Within the Portal reveals the eternal truths taught by the genuine sages, saints, and gurus and masters so you can spiritually develop towards divine love consciousness. Krishnanand is a spiritual trainer to many, and Within the Portal serves as the guidebook. Krishnanand remained in constant dialogue with spiritual beings the entire time during his 9-day coma and continues to connect with them at will to this day. The book breaks down the entire near-death phenomena in an exciting and profound narrative telling. Go to withintheportal.com to sample or order your personalized ebook, print or audio copy. Use the code 3rd Eye for free downloads.